And so, good evening, everyone. This is Astro Cafe for April 29th, which means it's almost May, heavens. Where did that time go? Anyways, on the agenda tonight, David Lee would like to mention the VCO session tomorrow evening, as it looks like it will be clear. Dave Robinson has had a meeting with Oak Bay and will tell us about that. We'll have a general session and maybe between Lauri and Chris too. They could lead on the General Assembly this coming weekend. Randy will tell us, give us a brief report on the science fair. We have a James Webb photo from Chris, and I guess anything else you'd like to say as president, and then Randy has an Eclipse presentation. And that should be enough for now, and then any announcements at the end. How does that sound? Hearing nothing further, how about David Lee, you take us away?
Okay, so as you know, the General Assembly is this weekend, and we actually have a role to play. Every center that actually has an observatory is submitting a observatory tour. So I've actually constructed part of it already. I've already done the historical section, just based on Zenfolio pictures, but I would like some live stuff for the current configuration. If I have to, I will use stills, but it's much better to have warm bodies. So if you guys can, anybody who can join Chris and I tomorrow night, that would be perfect.
And Kathy's here.
Okay, so that's on that. So I guess we can move to Dave Robinson.
Well, actually, why don't we keep going on the GA?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yep.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. So Lauri or Chris Gaynor, do you have anything to tell us?
Hey, well, the GA, I hope everybody's got their tickets. It's only $15 this year, so even if you don't, if you only come in for a little bit one day and a little bit another day or something like that, then that will be great. We'd love to see you on. We need everybody to be there as much as possible. We've got lots of different kinds of programs coming on. I believe that the full program is going to be coming out tomorrow. I think that's what Jana said. I think she gave a little bit of something last week. But the full program will be coming out. Bill Weir and Randy are going to be giving a presentation on Saturday morning at 10:30 in the morning, from 10:30 to 11:30. And so everybody come out and cheer and, or give them RASC or whatever you'd like to do. But that would be really nice to have people listening in and encouraging them on to support us. So that would be really good. The Gather Town is going to be on the Saturday night, I believe. And that's always really fun when everybody just goes in and chats away among everybody to do that. So I think that's maybe just all for now. It's going to be a little bit more relaxed this time out because of we don't have the sessions that are kind of consecutive, sorry, not consecutive. Overlapping. It's just the one session's kind of all at the same all at the time, so everybody can just kind of come in at their leisure. So anything else? I know
I was going to say maybe talk a little bit about the Gather Town too. I know Bill Weir has mentioned it, and I think it might also be open on Friday. I'll have to look at the agenda.
Are they putting it on the Friday just to kind of open it up for people then?
But I could be wrong.
Okay, I haven't talked to Jenna. I didn't talk to Jenna today, so I didn't. I don't know. Gather Town is a space where you are like a little avatar, and you can wander around through the place where they have got us. They've kind of just they've concocted a space, and as you get close to another person with your avatar, that person kind of shows up as one of the little people on the um online, so you know who you're speaking to, and those people, sort of, there's say 4 or 5 people that are in one area, they'll all show up online, and you can all just simply chat to each other. As you move away from that group, then you can't hear them anymore, and you end up kind of over talking to another group that will be there, and it all just kind of flows actually quite well. This will have been is it the 3rd year that we have done this, I believe. And it's worked out really well. People just like, it's like hanging out with people, where you can just kind of, you can go off and speak to somebody like personally, or you can speak to a little group, or not speak to people if you don't want to. So it's really quite a fun place to just chat with people that you haven't seen for a little while, because it's really, often the only time that you get to really, I mean, except in meeting situations for national council or something, which are pretty formal, this is a pretty informal thing to do. Yeah. So
When will we see the program?
I think tomorrow, Randy, I think it's tomorrow that it's coming out. So I will check with Jenna first thing in the morning and maybe send out a little notice. But I wonder if people saw today in the bulletin that tomorrow is the last day for putting in any eclipse pictures for the calendar, for the 2025 calendar. So I know some of you have got gorgeous photographs, and I don't know what, I don't think too many Victoria people have got sometimes their pictures in the calendar. Is that right, Chris? Am I on the right track? That it's tomorrow? That's the last day, I think, to put them in. And I'm just thinking, like all you guys that went in lovely places and actually saw total eclipses, then you could kind of do that. And I know that John McDonald had that beautiful progression as well. So anyway, an idea for tomorrow. I think
Thank you.
that's
Any
just about all for me.
No,
Yep.
okay. Dave Robinson.
Okay, just to recap, apparently a little while back, Oak Bay was in the process of doing some changes to Uplands. Part of that is predicated because they have replaced a bunch of sewer system because it has cross connections that are high weather things dump sewage into Cadborough Bay. So they're doing a large project there. Some of the light poles they have existing are starting to fall down, and the poles are rotten. So they had a project proposed to replace the street lighting within Uplands. The original engineer's proposal was to use dark sky friendly fixtures, but when they went to public consultation, they gave the citizens a sort of a choice, or indicate which light fixtures they liked. And they, not overwhelmingly, but by a margin, indicated they would like the round globes back. That went to council, and council overruled their engineers and said, we're going to put the globes back. So 2 gentlemen from Oak Bay, Thomas Tidge and Chris Garrett, and I got together and put some information together for council. And today was supposed to be a half-hour meeting and ended up being a 1-hour meeting with the mayor and one of the councilors.
Good.
We had a 5-point list of concerns that we presented to them, and had a good long discussion about what our concerns were, not just from the dark sky perspective, but from impacts on insects and birds and mammals and all of that sort of stuff. And the fact that the type of lighting that they are proposing will not provide adequate lighting on the roads and sidewalks. As a matter of fact, they don't meet the BC Hydro standard for street lighting, They don't meet the the Canadian Transportation Association standard or the illuminating engineering standard. So they're basically saying, we want the things that look nice, we don't want the things that do the job, because they're quote unquote heritage fixtures. So at the end result is that the mayor and that particular councillor, who seems to be in favor, are going to be taking it back to council to see if they can persuade them or have them pass judgment again. I'm not overly hopeful, but we'll see what happens. I think I didn't get a chance to talk to their engineer. I would like to have, but he wasn't there. So we'll see what happens over the next little while.
Did they say in this plan what they would put in those globe fixtures then? Because I assume they're.
They didn't say, just they're gonna put a lamp in there, and
Oh,
because
goodness.
the existing ones are 16 feet, they're talking about going to 18 to 20 feet. And they're talking about making the globes from this big to about this big. And so that will mean with the pole spacing they have, in order to get any kind of lighting on the roadway at all, they're gonna have to more than double the amount of light coming out those fixtures.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm concerned, and I said, we've done dark sky measurements at Cattle Point, and if you guys make the change the way you are, we'll be doing it again. You may not like the measurements.
A little stick always helps
Yes,
along with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the update. Any questions for Dave?
Dave, I was just gonna ask, like, how did the globes even get back on the table? Like, if they were not something that the engineers said should be there?
It had to do with when they went for their 2 double public meetings to look at what was being done, which included the sewer system as well as the lighting. And the primary concern, what we heard, was that it was with the type of pole. But when they did that, they also included several different pictures of light fixtures and asked the participants which one they preferred. And
Yeah.
of course, there's some people in there who have this so-called heritage, or there's a Canadian heritage designation for that particular subdivision because it was rather unique at the time. And so they have this idea in their mind that if they change it, it's not heritage anymore. Well, but there were streetcars there before and they took those out.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed, right?
Yeah.
And how about the money question?
I don't know that it's.
Are the bulbs gonna cost a lot more, or
Yeah,
there has to be
the
some
globes
energy?
are probably cheaper to buy. But the operating cost, who knows? You have no idea. I have no idea what they're gonna put for fixtures. But if you're looking at trying to light the roadway adequately, because you're losing so much light around the globe and up above globe, it's gotta cost more energy. It has to. So,
But you're right, they're gonna have to be brighter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Light obeys the inverse square law.
Yeah.
So double the height, you have to 4 times the light.
They should do a simulation and park one there for a while and show
Yeah.
people what it would look like.
Well, the stupid thing is they have light fixtures down Oak Bay Avenue that would be perfectly acceptable for that process, except they aren't round. They're square with a little hat on top.
Oh, but they're
But they're
nice.
dark sky friendly
Yeah,
and they're pretty. So who knows? We'll see what happens. We put our oar in, so we'll see what happens and we'll
Yeah.
follow up over time.
well, thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Mhm.
Great. Any further comments or? Okay, hearing none, I guess Randy, you can tell us about the science fair.
Okay, yesterday and today, we had the 63rd Annual Vancouver Island Regional Science Fair. Let's just do a bit of history. We were with over 200 participants for several years, and then COVID. And we lost a year and then 2 years online. Last year was the first back in person, and we had about 60 participants. This year we were around 100. So that's good. We still are sad that we're not at the good old days, but about 20 years ago, there was a teacher strike and we were down below 100 then. And we dreamed of when we would be back up to 150. And then we passed 150 and went up to 200, which is around capacity. And so I'm sure it's going to happen again. In terms of astronomy, there was one truly astronomy project, and a very impressive kid who I've had some contact with before, who is doing kind of a independent studies on looking at some test data, you know, the transiting exoplanet survey satellite, something like that. Anyway, he's been modeling what turns out to be, there are two stars and there's a planet going around one of those stars. And it's pretty impressive. And then there were two astronomy adjacent projects. One was looking at radio interference in different settings, whether it was on, you know, in the middle of Victoria near a cell phone tower or off at Prospect Lake, and you could see that when you're away from radio sources, then you have fewer of these radio interference, which would affect radio telescopes. And then the third, and I will give the name of this person, is one Nathan Hellner-Messelman, who I know is working on sending some plants up with a big balloon, but it didn't happen by the time of the science fair. So in preparation, he's been doing various treatments on plants to see if he can improve how well they survive low temperature and vacuum. And there is some molecule with a long name, and we'll have to get him to tell us about it sometime. Anyway, it wasn't a particularly easy science fair for astronomy, but we had some very clear participation there. And I have invited, I believe his name is Evan, the one with the TESS modeling, to come in the autumn. And he's actually got an internship with NASA over the summer, and he's going to be working on this. So he's a clever one, and I look forward to him. When he talked with me, he kind of jumped into the deep end, and I think that would make it difficult for a lot of people, because if you don't know about orbital mechanics and stellar evolution and these things, it's not really that comprehensible. So, but I think with a little bit of coaching, I think it will be really interesting for us. So look forward to that, but in the autumn. Okay.
Oh, and maybe because you mentioned Nathan, his book launch.
Book launch is on May 7th. Okay, so that's 2 Tuesdays from now at,
It's actually a week tomorrow,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
which is 2 Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That's
you're
how
right.
that works.
Okay. Well, I would say next week, just because sometimes 2 Tuesdays sounds like it's almost 2.
And it's at
Yeah.
Bolin Books, I believe,
Yeah,
at 7.
yes, I think so.
And I didn't put it in the announcement today, but it is in Sky News. Did people get Sky News? I sent it out, but I haven't had any feedback. Okay, so it's in there, in the calendar at the end. Anyway, this was the first science fair where a participant got to hand out a prize, because Nathan donated 1 copy of his book, and so I called him down. I was the master of ceremonies for the whole thing, and I called him down and asked him to describe what it was about, and it was wonderful how he describes his book. I also know that on Friday and Saturday in Montreal, he had a book launch and then came back so that he could do the science fair here. There are no flies on this kid. Okay.
Grass doesn't grow under his feet.
And we'll have to have a Astro Cafe, I hope soon, where he brings a pile of these books in here. I see Lauri's hand go up.
No, she's got one.
Did you? Yeah, I have one. It came today. I was wondering, did you give out a prize to Evan
Yes.
on our behalf?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
The
thank you.
prize is a membership, so we'll have to arrange that with you, Chris. And an offer to give a talk here.
Okay, but what did you do with the other two astronomy adjacents?
Well, Nathan's actually was not astronomy, so
Yeah.
nothing, but we
Yeah.
also gave the prize to the radio telescope.
Radio, okay, that I wasn't sure. We had not put it in our budget. Like
But it's
we
something-
usually do, but we just kind of forgot, and so we can add that in or put it in under outreach.
It's
I don't
just
know.
a 2 youth memberships. We
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
cover that. I'm not worried
Okay.
about that.
Thank you.
We usually used to invite them to have a parent with them so they could go to the VCO too.
Ah,
Because that's the problem with the youth memberships for those under 18, they can't come to the VCO.
I will speak to our membership chair and we will make sure that we get this.
So we usually deal with family
Right.
for those prizes.
Okay.
And we don't have any good reason to offer Nathan a family membership.
Especially if he's already got one.
Now, sometimes we get book prizes too, but it didn't happen this year.
No.
These kids got a lot this year. I'm really not worried about them.
Okay.
Very good, thank
That's
you.
what happens when there's 100 kids and the same number of prizes. I think everybody won something this time.
So it should be.
Who won the big prize?
Oh dear, what was it? It was actually a junior project. Is it in my pocket? It is. If you bear with me a second, I will remember. I remember it was project 36. Oh yeah, designing a more efficient wind turbine. So, you know, there's all these projects. There's always a bunch of projects looking at the angle of attack and the size of the fans and things. This student got interested.
That was a senior project.
It was senior?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this student said, how about the hub, the thing in the middle? And so she 3D printed smooth ones and ones with like golf ball dimples. And it worked better. And she did an excellent job. It was really a very nice project. Were you one of the judges, Dave?
Yeah, it was. It was great. The ones, especially the ones that did it, like I have a bias towards the experimental, like
Yes, me too.
printing them out and testing them and then finding something that she hadn't thought of and then expanding the experiment to also look at that. So it was very impressive.
Yeah, I should tell you the RASC Victoria participation. Lauri, you were a judge of some of the junior projects. Dorothy
the
came and
Really
taught-
little projects. Yeah, really little. Only grade 4s and 5s. So
And I saw Leslie today. He came in with the CMOS, the Canadian Meteorology and Oceanography
Oh,
seat, council, whatever. Anyway, he came with the prizes for them. So so that we're well represented there.
thanks, Randy, for all your work. I mean, I don't think anybody knows, you know, this is something that where a lot of people are flapping underneath like ducks, you know, underneath the water and making everything run. And it's amazing. So thanks a lot. It's
good crowd.
really fun for the day. Yeah.
That's our report.
Thank you. Great, Chris Gaynor, you had a James Webb. photo.
Okay, actually, just a couple of items of business. I was actually hoping I would hear whether or not we had a speaker for May the 8th. But I have not heard, and I wondered if anybody here had. I think Kirsten was working on it,
Yeah, I think so.
but
Hmm.
and I was hoping she might turn up if I hadn't heard from her. So I guess we're still kind of in suspense about that. Anyway, we discussed it last week and there was, I think either we were going to get a speaker or have kind of a members night, probably with an Eclipse theme. But I guess I'm gonna have to go chasing after her and see. And then, you know, we had a meeting last week about Astronomy Day. And I think that's coming along nicely. Actually, I did manage to get something in the events, upcoming events with the Times Colonist.
Oh, good.
I discovered after the meeting that there actually is a free option, although they nag you all the time to pay for something more. But I just put it in and I checked it today and it's there. I actually just put in the bit at the RBCM though. Because I thought, you know, getting everything else in there was really going to complicate things the way it was set up. And probably, you know, with a limit on the tickets and all that, anyway, that's what I did.
Okay.
And there is going to be a meeting. It was supposed to be the 7th, but we all decided that the book launch was far more important than the meeting. So we're actually pushing it off to the following Tuesday, the 14th. So the point is, we really have to have our ducks in a row.
Okay, and you're taught, just so that everybody is clear, we're talking about a meeting to organize astronomy.
The meeting for the 18th for International Astronomy Day. Yeah.
Yeah, so the astronomy day is on the 18th, but on the 14th, we will have a final meeting to organize things.
And I am sure we could still use more people to volunteer. And Margie is the person to write to say that you would love to help our second biggest outreach event, maybe third. Beavery is probably bigger.
And just to let you know that I updated the volunteer list on April the 21st, and nobody has contacted me. No lead has contacted me to tell me that any of those other people on the list, and there are lots of them, have been used for volunteers. So the leads leads have all sorts of opportunities to connect with people on the list, and then let me know.
And I think what you're saying, Margie, is before the 14th, we're going to have some emails go around amongst the leads.
Yeah. Who are they expecting to do what?
Yeah.
And which gaps are there?
I just wanted to, I think.
And though
Kathy, that's the question.
We are, David, did we not have our sync thing on that day?
Yeah, so what we did, I gave people an option. I didn't want to supersede Nathan's launch. So originally we, originally we said the 14th. And then in the meantime, Randy had scheduled this. So it is actually now the 15th. The SIG is now the 15th.
Be the Wednesday then, right?
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of date collisions this month. A lot of
Yeah.
collisions.
May's turning into a busy month.
Yeah.
But June will be nice and free.
And Randy, you said that emails will go around, fill in the blank, about Astronomy Day. Who is doing that?
Well, I'm saying that since we're not having a meeting till the 14th, we're going to do our business by email. And
Okay.
Yeah,
it-
I think any lead that feels that they don't know exactly what's going to happen or they don't have enough volunteers, you should be acting now. They should be looking
yeah,
at those
so
lists.
I will be sending things out.
Yeah, nudge
So-
the.
Nudging is starting tomorrow. Yes.
Where's the list, Margie?
The list is on Google Drive.
Oh, okay. Some of us don't have that, so.
Chris,
Yeah, okay. We'll,
Chris is-
we'll,
Chris Purse is very good at getting you onto Google Drive.
It usually works, yeah.
Yeah, just so leads,
Yeah.
just when you're thinking about volunteers, just make sure that people know, they should be starting at around 9:30 if they're going to be coming in and helping to set up, and then maybe have one group of people work for about 3 hours, and then another group of people can work from about 12:30 to about 3:30 and help with the tear down, so that if don't it, like I don't want to have any lead kind of doing something on their own and expecting to work the whole time without any help. There are a lot of people around, so we really do,
Yeah.
and that's really good to get new people involved, and just even if they can only come for just even a little while, then that would be
Mhm.
really positive for
Yeah,
them to come. So
Any activity should have a minimum of 2 people. And
Yeah.
if you think
for sure.
if you think about the number of hours involved, you need more than 2.
Then that becomes at least 2 shifts, right? So then you're looking
Exactly.
at a minimum of 4, actually.
That's about 4 for each one of the activities, and even 5 like as a backup for somebody who needs to go to the bathroom or something like that. It's always just really nice to have more people than you think, and then it can kind of work on that. And I'm going to see if I can get one of the rooms. I'm not sure yet, but if I can get one of the rooms that could be used as a volunteer lounge, I guess. We'll see I'll see what I can do about that, and then maybe put some water and drinks and things like that in there, and then people can go in and have a little bit of time and put their feet up for a minute. So that would be good.
And
I'll try.
remember, that should be a very busy weekend down there. So
Very.
also plan some time to get there.
Yes.
it's a
'Cause-
long weekend. And we traditionally have been getting what, like 800, 1,000?
Hard to say.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Go-
Like not last year at UVic, but when we're at the museum, we should be getting that many. And I would think that will be an easy target this year when it's a long weekend. Yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
think we've had it on Victoria Day before, have we, or that weekend?
I don't think so. I think we've always been like, it's always kind of not hit that week, so it's
Hmm.
going to be different. And
So we
Kim,
have
sorry,
Yeah.
the lady that I was working with, Alex Weaver, has now gone into her new job as the manager of the IMAX. And so we've gone back to Kim Goff, who we knew before and who we've all worked with before at the museum. Kim is now the person that is now in charge of that whole section, and I'm going to be responding back to her. So within the time that we've been working, we've had a little bit of a change of thing, but I'm not worried. Kim knows everything that's going on, so it's okay. Yeah.
I was just going to add that because it is such a busy weekend, be wary of parking.
Parking.
Make sure you scout that out well before the day.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know one thing that I do need, and maybe from this group, that would be really good to ask. I need to have somebody who will stand at the bollard in the middle of the pathway to let the cars up before like at about 9 o'clock or something like that. So when people are coming in to unload, that we have to have this bollard, and I have to have somebody who will wear a safety jacket and be kind of wary of the people of only putting it up when the cars are coming in and then putting it back to it just needs to be an extra person there. And that would be a job that would be kind of maybe 9, maybe 9 o'clock or so till 10, something like that. And then again, well, no, not at the end of the day, because we can't bring the cars back up. Unfortunately, we can't bring the cars back up at the end of the day. But at the beginning we can. So if anybody would like to come and, wear a nice safety vest and help for about an hour and a half or so in the morning, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just basically for unloading. It's a
Yeah.
large pole with a padlock on it.
Mhm.
So a security person will have to unlock it, and then you just have to be there to put the pole back and forth when cars come in. So Lauri, I'm assuming that when people come in and unload, they have to leave right away. They can't
Yes,
leave the car there, right?
No, they can't leave the car there. I mean,
Right.
they can leave it while they're bringing in the stuff and everything, but they
But
can't leave the
Not
car
all
there.
day
No.
though, not all day.
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. It has to be moved. Yeah, it has to be moved. So you do have to have time to be able to unload your stuff and then go and park and then walk back to the center, right? So you have to kind of put all that, you have to kind of do some
Mhm.
thinking about what you're going to do there. That will take a little bit more time. We will be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, without a doubt. The first of us for sure. And then, but we'll open to the public at 10. And they do open the doors. I believe I think it might even be 9:30. For people to go into the cafe. So there will be people that will be going in and getting coffee and all that kind of thing from the public while we are setting up. But we can be legally kind of we can be doing that and not having to kind of do a lot of presentations right away. But there will be people around. Okay.
Just a thought, do we have any trolleys or anything for moving stuff back out at the end of the day? Because if we can't bring cars there, I guess we've got to move the stuff to somewhere else.
You have to pack up again out back, actually, the back of the museum.
Yeah,
Right.
we can have trolleys, like there's 2 at the center. Like I've
Right.
got one, if
Maybe one of
anybody's got
those.
wagons or something like that,
Or just thinking
that
for the
would be
head
great.
night.
Yeah. We'll have those ready for people. We can have those ready and have people be able to take them. But you can park your car just like in that back parking lot, put your lights on, have somebody kind of staying there and then coming in and getting your stuff. So the takedown is always much faster than the setup. So
Lauri, I think we would love to hear what's happening in the evening on the hill.
okay, regular star party like we normally do in the summertime. It'll be 7:30 to 11. 7:15 we'll probably start the cars coming up at 7:15. The tickets will go out on like 2 weeks beforehand, so people will start to get tickets. But we've already got people constantly calling Amy Rawson to say, when are the tickets for Astronomy Day coming? So, I mean, we've got people already done ready for that. We have a speaker, and I've just Tristan. Oh, help me, David. Tristan.
Oh, it's on the poster.
It's on the poster. Oh, and I don't have a poster sitting in front of me.
Berg, Tristan Berg.
Tristan Berg, and he's from the HAA, and he's going to be talking about SCA, I think. I think
He
that's what
said
he's.
it's a search for precious metals in galactic
But
space or
I'm
something like that.
I think he was using. Oh, okay. Oh dear. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. But he's the speaker, and he'll be giving 2 presentations. We'll have virtual reality up. We'll have our planetarium programs running. We'll have a children's program. Nathan is going to be selling his book up at the center. He can't do it. I don't know whether Nathan's on here. I can't see him. He can't sell it at the museum, but he can sell them up at the center. So he will have his own launch party up at the center. So if you're looking for a book, and I'm sure he'd sign it, that it would be that you can purchase it there. We've got a really new updated gift shop that has been now helped through the teacher store And so what we're doing right now is because we have no money in order to buy anything ahead of time, the teacher store has done all of that purchasing and has put everything in there, and then we get a commission back from the sale of those items that she's putting in there, and it looks lovely. It's completely filled and ready to go, and
So
looks
Lauri,
marvelous. So
Lauri,
yeah.
have they basically leased space there for their product, or did they just help you pick the products?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean, there's no formal lease. It's not formally leased. They are just simply they're putting things in, and then what they sell, we get a commission back for having them in. It's a good thing for both of us. She's thrilled, and so are we, because we didn't have the money like to go to buy product ahead of time at all, because that takes thousands of dollars, and we didn't have that. So so they were able to do that. But tomorrow we're putting in another grant, a Lottery Corporation grant for $65,000. Hopefully for the school programs. We've got a one in already to the Victoria Foundation for $30,000 for the school programs. And if we can get some money from either one of these organizations, we'll be able to expand our school programs at the Friends to be in schools like Sid and I used to do. And we'll be able to go in schools, but there we will have a fully qualified teacher doing that. We will pay them to actually do that, and it won't be just simply volunteer work. So we're looking forward to that, and it's just something that I'm working toward, is to get some money for the school programs. So okay, that's the end of that.
Well, and finish off with, because it's going to be beautiful, clear sky that night, we want lots of people with telescopes.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. Yes, you're all welcome to come up. If you've never come up to the center before and you want to volunteer, then you do have to call Amy Ross, and I can put her email in there, because legally we have to have your name and we have to give you some volunteer kind of stuff from the center. But you're absolutely welcome to bring up telescopes, to put things up on the deck, to put things up on the parking lot, and to talk to people that are there. The more the merrier. Absolutely is the best. It's the best thing. And we also have been, we were donated 3 help me out, David, again, the name of the little telescopes that we were given.
Vespera smart telescopes.
Vespera smart, and it actually was JJ Cavallars who showed them to James DeFrancesco, and James said, "Oh, we need some of those," and he bought 3. And we've now got them up at the center, and you can put your iPhone up to it, and it'll take pictures. It does EAA. They're small.
Brock, they're finally going to do EAA.
I know. And they're great. Like, so we'll be able to monitor what we do there, and we've already been using them, and they're really terrific so the public can take away pictures on their iPhones with these little telescopes. I mean, no, you're not looking through anything like the 20-inch or even an 8-inch or an 11-inch, but you are being able to see some of that. So anybody that's interested in learning how to do that, oh my gosh, please. Yes.
Ben's done some initial tests already, right, Lauri?
Yes. Yeah. And Amy Archer, and Amy Archer's daughter, who's 14 years old, has been, working with them. So they're, I think they're quite good. But if you're interested in helping with that kind of thing, boy, we could sure use you. That would be just wonderful. Yeah.
I put the app on my phone so that I'll be all ready.
Oh, great. Thank you, Brock. Good. Okay.
Excellent.
And the last thing is that Sherry Butner has agreed to do some a training of people on the 16-inch telescope, because we are looking to get some new things on that. Actually, James DeFrancesco is also looking at getting a brand new go-to mount for it, like that will be put in, like maybe within the next year, if he can get some funding. And so that would be wonderful to do that. But if anybody's interested in learning how to use the 16-inch, which is the one where people actually go up, put their little eyeball up to the thing and can actually see, then give me your name, because we're going to actually train some students, some UVic students, in order to be able to do that, so they can help out with cruise tours and things like that as well. But we'd love to open that to more people. Right now, only Sherry and Reg are the only two people who
And me,
basically, and you.
I've been trained.
Yeah,
Oh,
Randy
okay,
is, yeah.
okay, thank you, Randy, for the 16. So, yeah.
So in addition to that, any kind of outreach up on the
Oh.
hill, please,
and-
like if you're interested in doing it, you just don't know how, then team up with somebody who does it regularly, right? And yeah, that's the only way you're going to learn.
Best way to do it.
Yep.
And no matter if you don't think that you know absolutely everything, you know way more than everybody that is there. So that's great.
And assuming we get clear skies, it should be a good sun to start with.
Good. Okay.
We've got till almost 9 o'clock with it, and then we've got a nearly full moon.
Okay, so we can do some moon stuff. Yeah, that's great. Good.
Anyways.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
James Webb photo, Chris.
Okay, can I just, before I do that, just one question. Should we like send out a notice to everybody about Astronomy Day? I think we've kind of done everything but that, like an email thing.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, and just on the Astronomy Day, I think the large posters have gone out, have they not, Lauri?
I've still got a few, and if
Mhm.
anybody is anywhere near a rec center, they take the nice big ones. And we're making some smaller ones. Did you get those today, David? The smaller
Not
you
today,
took
but
tomorrow?
I will
Okay.
do that tomorrow.
Okay,
So
and we'll
I've
get some
got
small ones to put
I've
in.
got one that's scaled for 8.5 by 11, which is letter
Great.
size.
Perfect.
And Lauri, you said that more places will take that.
Yes, more places will take the smaller ones than the bigger ones for sure. Yeah, you can
Great.
put those in stores and in libraries and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Chris.
Okay,
No.
so yes, there is a schedule that I discovered earlier in the day. So, and I've actually put the link for this on the chat.
In the chat. Yeah.
That's the one I was looking at. Yeah, so there's Gather Town. It's on Sunday. Okay, there's both days. You can gather.
That's right.
Oh, they're even doing it on Sunday, but not on Friday.
I
Okay.
thought it was
There we
Friday.
go.
But Sunday.
Right. Okay.
And can you see this now?
So beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so that's, you can see, actually, the bit I'm gonna, the brand new one is one at the right, but it's kind of covers the real estate in that little block in the one in the in the middle, the upper part of the horse head. And I'm just gonna stop it for a second and put up the picture, just so you can admire it a little bit more. So
That's quite something. Isn't it?
Holy.
Wow.
yeah, so this is the latest from Webb, and actually, like it's actually the background that's really striking people, all those neat galaxies and things there. But this is kind of, a close up of that little bit of the horse head, that we struggle and strain to see. And well, there's a few of us here who've got some pretty darn good images, but this is so this was just released today.
Wow.
So anyway.
Pretty amazing. That is incredible. Yeah. So we keep finding more and more. So there.
Orion keeps being the place.
Yeah.
And I suppose all of those bright spots are galaxies too far away to be shaped.
Yeah, well, the ones, the ones with the 6 points are stars, but everything else is a galaxy of some sort, basically.
Gives you the creeps.
Yeah.
I like that one that looks like an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, on the right, yeah.
Yes.
It's probably two.
Yeah.
Two
There's
galaxies.
a whole bunch of, yeah, there's a
Two,
bunch over
just to
there.
the right of it, there's two.
Yeah. Very neat. Well, thank you for
Beautiful.
pointing that out. I hadn't seen that yet. That's neat. On the news. Wow. Okay. So, our past president, you were gonna talk to us
Yeah, so,
about some strange phenomenon called an eclipse?
so the deal is, I actually more or less prepared this as it is now, but, with, for what was it, the 8th, the 15th, the week after. And then everybody was so enthusiastic to talk about their own eclipse experiences that I banked this, but we're not finished with the eclipse. Anyway, here I am the week before April 8th at the Dorner Telescope Museum in Toronto. And I have to recommend it. Anybody goes to Toronto. Jenna wasn't there. She was off mountain climbing before she went to see the eclipse somewhere. But she put me in touch with Randall Rosenfeld, who runs the museum and is the archivist. And is just a wonderful fellow who's so passionate about it. And on the right, now he's the financial guy for the society. But what that means in the week before the eclipse is he's dealing with the lineup through the hallway of people who want to buy eclipse glasses at $10 a pop. We made some serious coin.
$10.
There was a lineup.
Well, good.
It was awesome.
That's a good thing. We can use the money.
Anyway,
Not a lineup, a markup.
Yeah.
but the telescope between Randall and me is David Levy's main telescope with which he discovered many comets. And what's kind of sweet is there's a brass plaque for each comet that he found with this telescope. It's quite delightful. The most beautiful one, I don't think you can see in this picture, but there's this beautifully wood. I mean, it's the most extraordinary carved wooden framework for what? It's about a 10 or 12-inch Dobsonian, but it's totally unreasonable in how decorated it is. Anyway, it's a lovely museum, but Randall also he just loves the archives and things. Anyway, I found this book in the shelves. It's Jean Meus, Tables of the Moon and Sun, and it was very clearly loved by somebody. You open it up and you see all of these scribblings and things. But what was really quite remarkable, and Randall didn't even know about it. It was just that I guess nobody's looked at this book for a long time, but right in the front cover is correspondence. And this is, you're not supposed to give talks with lots of text, but I'm just going to read this out because this correspondence is really interesting. So the correspondent is Peter Broughton, who you may know is the person who wrote the book about Plaskett.
Yes.
Okay, he's he was a high school math teacher, and then he retired. And when I showed the scribblings over the equations, Randall said, "Oh yeah, that's him, because he can handle all that math. He was a very good mathematician, and he really devoted himself to history of astronomy." Anyway, so Jean Meus is the addressee, and Peter Broughton wrote, "Dear Sir, knowing of your extensive work on eclipses, I am writing to you in the hope that you may be able to take the time to provide me with some expert advice. I am studying the eclipse observations of the Jesuit missionaries and others in Canada in the 17th century. To determine the accuracy of their work, I have been comparing their times with those deduced by Uplands' canon." Now, Uplands, well, we'll talk more about him, but 19th century was the person, the time that these calculations were done, that Broughton was using. I know from your treatise on recent and future eclipses that Uplands' data are subject to systematic errors, and I've used the revisions which you pointed out in the introduction of your canon wherever possible, but I am sure that I could do still better if I only knew how. Are there any tables which would allow me to calculate the circumstances of eclipses for that epoch? The only alternative, namely to calculate the eclipse elements from scratch, seems formidable. Though I have some experience with computer programming, so this is in 1978, okay? And reasonable knowledge of celestial mechanics, I'm not a professional astronomer. Your advice will be sincerely appreciated. And then we get back. Sorry, I've got this thing on my screen as I'm reading.
But you'd read up there.
Well, because it's very small.
Oh,
Okay. So, dear sir, as far as I know, there does not exist tables for the calculation of solar eclipses. Such tables have indeed been published in the 19th century by Uplands and some of his predecessors. But of course, their accuracy cannot be better than the results obtained directly from Uplands' canon, 1887. In order to have the solar eclipses calculated with higher accuracy than obtained from Uplands' canon, which corrected as explained in my canon of solar eclipses, it will be necessary. And then he goes through all the steps. This is, of course, a big amount of work. In 1962, I published privately the book Tables of the Moon and Sun, which is what we have in our archives. Okay, so this was Meus's private publishing of his calculations. The book was written at a time when there did not yet exist pocket electronic calculators. Nowadays, it should be stupid to use the tables themselves, even if one possesses only a small pocket machine.
When you
It
say
would be
next
much
door,
easier to use formulae instead of tables. Short description of the book is enclosed. Send 650 Belgian francs.
Up there. But it seems that by late in the night, they're gone. But it still makes me wonder whether they've got something going on the other side. Or, something.
Go down.
Because they're definitely not building a nest here.
Good, okay. So he said, send me 650 francs. If you're not interested, there may be another solution, but not immediately. There is a rather slight possibility that I will buy a, quote, personal computer. I love this. With that machine, it should be possible to calculate Besselian elements, Okay. And then Broughton drafted his response. Thank you very much for your letter of Jan 17. So this is all in this period of 2 weeks in 1982. It's very kind of you to reply to my question, enclosed check. And this is the book that came from this correspondence. Okay, it's just lovely, lovely little bit of history of our society. Anyway, that was the preamble. So there was quite a lot of press this year about it being the millennial anniversary. I don't know why they called it that, but of the League of the Haudenosaunee. The Haudenosaunee being the indigenous peoples around Lake Ontario. It's often called the League of Six Nations. And this is a 1997 paper, which I have to say is quite controversial in the anthropology world. But in any case, it's quite wonderful. Take a look at that, page 105 to 163. This is a 60-page paper, very detailed, very readable, but it goes into a whole bunch more than talking about this particular eclipse. But the important thing for us today is that there was a chief, Hiawatha, we've heard the name, and a person who was called the Peacemaker. And so Deganawida is the Peacemaker. Anyway, I just underlined this. There occurred a strange event. The sun went out, and for a little while it was complete darkness. And there's like a half a dozen completely independent oral histories from the 19th and early 20th century that clearly say that there was this meeting in this place a bit south of modern day Rochester, south of Lake Ontario, where this peace treaty was signed. But it occurred with this complete darkness, with this eclipse. It's so beautifully explained, talked about by these independent sources, that it does seem that, they weren't making it up. Another thing I want you to see is this happened when the grass was knee-high, I think, or when the corn was getting ripe. Okay, and so those are actually really important dates. Grass was knee-high was code for June, like after planting and in the late spring, early summer, and the corn was getting ripe means August. So that tells you when it happened. So we know where it happened, we know what month or season, and we know that it happened during one of these councils that they had. And in this society, you work the fields in the morning and you have councils in the afternoon. So we know the time of day. So, and an important thing about, let me go back, Barbara Mann. Jerry Fields is the astronomer, Barbara Mann is the anthropologist. And she is so irritated at the people who say that the alliance of the Haudenosaunee, this 5 nations which turned into 6, was a reaction to contact, to Europeans coming to North America. And she says, no, it's way older. She's got all sorts of oral history and other ways of saying it was much, much older. And then she got the astronomer to help her look at the old eclipses. Why did I say this? Oh yeah, this
for the timing.
Yeah, this talks about how they knew it was a total or near total eclipse. It was in the afternoon between noon and sunset, and it was either second hoeing or green corn. Okay, so that should be enough to figure it out, right? But then I read this. The basis of the search, as it was for Wallace, was Polzer's Canon of Eclipses, the 1887 version. And I had just read that, although what happened?
We're getting a tangle.
Oh, yeah, I think
Joe, I think you're not muted.
that's Joe's.
Muted? You are now. Stop.
Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking, this is all based, it's a 1990s paper, but is based on eclipse tables from over 100 years ago. So here it is. This is the that beautiful book, the Canon der Finsternis. And what was really good is he actually did these beautiful maps. Just imagine how much work went into this. There's no calculators, there are no plotting programs. This is somebody with a huge amount of calculation and a whole bunch of
A pen.
and very good drafting. And what I want you to see is
Look at that. There it
here we are, 1142, August 22nd.
is. Yeah,
And
there it is.
the problem is that it's not really easy. And all they could say in this book is it went in the right area and it was a rather wide path of totality. So it certainly would have passed through the area. So with the advantage of the internet and with Espinac's calculations, we have now really very good calculations that are available to all of us just by clicking around. It's so unfair, but we live in a marvelous age. This was the eclipse of 1142, and if we focus in, it actually does miss the this place. Now maybe that's okay. Maybe, you know, being at, does it say 99 whatever percent, 99.2% obscuration.
My goodness. that's
Is
close.
that good enough?
Yeah.
But I said, okay, let me just take a look at what else is available. And so I forget what website I went to, but I put in the coordinates and it gives all the eclipses partial, total, annular for 3,000 years. And what I have done here is I've gathered together all of the eclipses over 95%. And so, you know, here we see there have been a few totals. It's kind of interesting. How often does a total come to a place? Here it is in the year 192. There it is in 567, 985, 1349. So it's every 500 years or so you get totality. And then the last one that I made sure to include this century so that I knew that it was working. So in green here, in one means all the totalities. But in red, it's more than 99.5%. They happen rather more often. The time in red are the ones that are in the afternoon. I started at 11 with yellow just to, you know, in case, but the rest, that's local time. Of course, they didn't have time zones, so they would use really local time for what's the afternoon. And the calendar date here, that's the day of the year, but I translated it here. So August, July is good, August is good. But you know, the red ones are the best ones. And the one that passes all the tests is the 1142. But you know, there's some other possibilities, like in 1048. This one, 1569, that's getting really late if you buy the what's her name, Ward or Mann. If you buy Mann's argument that it had to happen way before contact. So I end up agreeing with her, but it would not have been totality, it would have been 99.4% total, which definitely makes it dark.
Near enough.
Yeah.
In my experience, I've seen only the one totality, but that little tiny bit, people say, if you don't see totality, you haven't seen it. But that last little bit wasn't bad. You know, I think if that's what you saw, you'd be pretty freaked. That's my story.
That's incredible.
A lot of research.
Thank you very much. A lot of work, Andy.
And it is really cool the way that a lot of the First Nations were treating this as an anniversary because there was an eclipse right over the site of that treaty, whether it was 900 years ago or whenever. But it was a similar occurrence and definitely a way to mark the event of this alliance, which is sometimes called the world's oldest democracy.
300 years before Columbus.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's been a constant.
So who says oral history doesn't work?
Well, like the one part that she talks a lot about is Cartier talked with the people, and they talked how there were 30 leaders of the alliance since this event. And then the paper goes through and says, well, how long is 30 leaders? And then she says, well, there are this many monarchs in Britain, this many popes is 30. She did statistics on how the durations of these leaders and of chief justices of the US Supreme Court. Those were her three things. She did statistics on how long these leaders lasted.
So about 30 years.
Well, yeah, it ends up being like that, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's my story today.
Any questions or comments?
Wow.
That's
How is Randall thinking that the museum is going?
Oh, that's a really good question. He would love more time there. One thing is he travels by bus something like 90 minutes to get there. So it's not easy. He doesn't just come in on a whim. But there's so much to do. And he has such high hopes for what he can do. But right now, there's no sign on the street. If you didn't know that this amazing resource is there on the second floor,
Yeah, you wouldn't
you
know.
wouldn't know. There is absolutely not any indication that you just go up the hallway and down the hall, up the staircase and down the hall, and there's this wonderful thing. But it also isn't really displayed as a museum. It's I guess you saw with the picture. It's what you would call a mess.
A collection.
Well, I mean, they needed to put these telescopes somewhere, so there they are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
At least they have the space for it.
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, the alternative would be they'd be in a storage locker somewhere. I guess,
Absolutely.
right?
And
And
they
then nobody would see them at all.
there's some wonderful, not just telescopes, but all sorts of transit scopes, and I can't remember all the various things they have, and lovely clocks. It's a nice collection.
Speaking of historic scopes, Victoria Center has a
Yeah, we
historic
have
scope.
one too.
And some of our new members may not know that. The Ray Bryden scope is up at the center of the universe. It's sadly neglected in the corner somewhere, but it's still there. It even works.
Is it good optics?
It's a refractor. I have never looked through it. I don't know.
I think for its day, it was regarded fairly highly, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was.
It was an expensive telescope of its day.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how old is it? Remember roughly?
1880 something.
Yeah, so it's a 150-ish.
Mhm.
Brass.
Yeah, and it is brass.
Mainly brass, yes.
And heavy.
What telescope was used in Gonzales Dome to measure the time?
Okay.
Does anybody know what scope was used? Because that fellow who worked there, he was one of the real authorities on what West Coast time. He transmitted up and down the coast.
You need a telescope?
Yeah, that's how you measure the time.
It's just a narrow slit in the dome. The dome doesn't move or anything.
Well, you wait till the star passes.
It would have been zenith, yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
And what do they
it would
have
be
there?
virtual enough to handle summer, winter, but vertical enough, but it would be dead center.
Yeah.
And he would have it set up so that it's always aligned. So he just have a set of crosshairs in the scope, and when it goes through, ring the
Boom.
bell.
Yeah.
Fire the gun now.
Fire the gun. Yep.
But I would love to ask if there is anybody who could do a little 5-minute video presentation on the Bryden telescope. We are kind of looking to put something up there, because right now there's just a little plaque that's about this big that doesn't really give all that much information on it. And I'd love to see some more information there. We'd like to get a QR code that people can use that will give more information, but just a little video presentation. People could put on a pair of earphones and listen and watch a video of people talking about that. And right in this room right now, we have some people who know an awful lot more about it. And I would really appreciate somebody taking on that little job.
I'd be willing to help you, but I just found something about the Gonzales Observatory. So it says here that Napier Dennison said that he built the observatory to use a homemade telescope to find true local time by the stars.
And something I found said it was a 12.7 centimeter telescope, but I don't know if that's.
I'll send you the link about the history. I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, this is in Focus on Victoria, has something on it.
Yeah, that's where we're.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking.
Yeah, I just was Googling it here. I didn't see the handmade one. So that's about how big it was according to this anyway.
But we don't know what happened to that telescope.
No.
And the one up at the center of the universe, was that a member, or who was that person?
I think it was a member.
One of the earliest.
Ray was the person who made it.
Yeah.
And Bryden spent the big bucks on it. That was his personal, although many Victoria Center members used it in that era, because it was the telescope in town.
I meant to say too, we've seen that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Peter Broughton also wrote Looking Up, a history of the RASC.
Yes.
Which came out in, I don't know when. I don't know if it's been updated. 1994.
Apparently he's still alive.
Yes, he is. He came to the GA here in 2014. So quite a few of the center members at the time here had an opportunity to meet him. Anyways.
You may have that book
Do you? Yeah.
in the library.
In the library. Yeah, we probably do.
Yeah, I think we do have a copy.
Great. Okay, is there anything else? I guess maybe you want to mention there's a start party on apart from everything else on Saturday as well, Lauri, right? Apart from GA and stuff. Yes,
yes, there is a May the 4th be with you.
Is that Bob's presenting at that one?
And Bob McDonald is presenting on that night, and I told them that there was a GA, but it's okay. But he'll be up giving his presentation, and so people, if it's nice, if you'd like to go up and take your telescopes up on the Saturday night, please do, because there's quite a lot of people have already bought the tickets, because Bob always sells out, generally. So there you go.
Yeah, I see he's with Nathan as well at the book talk, so that'll be neat.
Yeah, he's doing Nathan's book talk. Yeah.
I should tell you, I have 3 moon talks coming up in the next 2 weeks. So first of all, Bill Weir and I are going to talk about astro sketching at the GA. The next morning, if you're keen on the Unitarians. The Unitarians have invited me to talk about the moon. Capital Unitarian on
Is that West Saanich or something?
no,
Not that one.
no,
The
it's
one downtown.
it's the one on Menzies Street. So, and then I've been invited to talk at the on Friday the 10th at the Sunshine Coast Center. The Ennises have invited me to come and talk to their monthly meeting. And so 3 separate talks about the moon coming up in the next 2 weeks.
I'm just looking at the GA schedule there, because yeah, unfortunately, it's getting a bit tight. The keynote is between, what does that work out to between, can't do math anymore. Between 4 and 5:30. So the keynote's before the evening star party. So it would be possible to say view the GA keynote and then still go to the star party too. For those who are interested.
When is the star party? What time?
It will be I think it's now at the 7:30 to 11 time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you did some of them earlier, right?
Yes, we did them earlier when it was darker earlier, and people wanted to do that. We did the 6 to 9, 6 to 10, but now it's getting later, so.
Okay, yeah, according to the website, it says 7:30.
Okay.
You are right.
Okay, same thing. Okay.
And 7:30 on the 18th, yeah, as we already said, so.
Yes, yeah, we've already done that. So, yeah.
Very good. So I think that's everything with a rather, well, it was a busy couple of days for people involved in the science fair, and then it's a bunch of other things happening too, so.
Mm-hmm.
Randy seems particularly busy, doing quite a few talks and doing other stuff, so. Does anybody else have anything for us?
There are 3 Astro Cafes left. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th Mondays of May, and then we're off for the summer. No excuse not to help the friends every Saturday night. So you can get your astronomy fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, yeah, because of the way that dates fall in May, yeah, there's not too many, there's only 4 Mondays anyways, yeah. Interesting. Okay, well, I guess we'll call it an evening. Thank you for attending, everyone, and we'll see you in another week or at something else. Maybe
We'll see you